people are recovering after a medical helicopter crashes on Highway 50 in Sacramento. This dramatic crash all caught on camera from commuters who were in traffic on the freeway at the time that chopper came crashing down. Thanks for joining us at 4. I'm Lisa Gonzalez.
And I'm Curtis Ming. 3 flight crew members, including a pilot, a nurse, and a paramedic, were on board. The Sacramento Fire Department told us last night all 3 were in critical condition. We have not received an update since. We do know nobody on the ground was hurt. The FAA and the NTSB are now leading this investigation.
We have live team coverage on this crash. We begin with KCRA 3's Leanne Denyer, who spoke with one of the first people to respond to that crash. Leanne?
Well, we know that the 3 people who were on board are being treated at UC Davis Medical Center. Reach, the company that operated that helicopter, they've said they are trying to figure out what happened and will release more information when they can. Today, we had the opportunity, like you mentioned, to talk to some of the first responders who were in the air and on the ground when this all happened. They said it just took so much teamwork to help those people on board. We had the chance to catch up with Sacramento County Deputy Duncan Brown, who was on a patrol flight when he heard over the radio that there had been a crash. He said from the sky he tried to help coordinate getting the first responders to the scene, with all of that traffic on 50 just complicating those efforts. While he, of course, could not speak to the details of this particular crash, he says as someone with a lot of flight experience, he really credits the pilot for navigating them through the challenges, through the airspeeds and altitudes that they were in, to get them to as safe a place as possible.
He was able to keep his momentum and clear all those houses to Highway 50, and then find a open spot on Highway 50 where he didn't hit any civilians as well, too. So major credit to that pilot.
And the CHP says that the 3 folks on board have major injuries. We are still working to piece together a lot of what happened. There are still a lot of unknowns. The CHP is assisting the NTSB and the FAA with this investigation. In Sacramento, Leanne Denyer, KCRA 3 News.
Well, a couple things come to mind because the Sheriff's Department flies a very similar chopper to the chopper that went down last night. So what was going through his mind as he kept flying and he was coordinating that ground response?
He told us that, I mean, this is, of course, something nobody ever wants to hear, whether you have air experience or not. He says that he flew over to the scene, was able to see that smoke, but immediately just flipped into what can we do? How can we help? Today, when we spoke with him, he says as a pilot, he really thinks analytically, and he really wants to understand what happened, but of course sent his thoughts with everybody directly impacted, and praised the first responders and the pilot, who you just heard him speaking about as he's sort of reflecting on yesterday's response.
All right, Leanne, thank you.
Yeah, and praise for the bystanders and the drivers who were there after that chopper crash. People got out of their cars. They rushed in to help and do what they could. Some of even pushed that chopper off one of the victims who was trapped beneath. And KCRA 3's Maricela de la Cruz spoke with someone who helped. She joined us live now to continue our team coverage in Sacramento. Maricela?
Yeah, Lisa, well, today we heard from 2 men who were along Highway 50. When this medevac came right down in front of them, they tell me that they jumped right out of the car to help these people. Now, these 2 men are Elvin Norman and Kenneth DiCrescenzo, and they were heading home when they saw the aircraft flying very low. They say they didn't know what was going on, and they were afraid that the helicopter was actually going to hit the sound wall. As we know, that didn't happen. The medical helicopter crashed onto the highway on its side, and today we were able to hear from both men about how they sprung into action. We also heard from Terry DiCrescenzo. She took that video that's been circling online, showing how people were running to the medevac and started lifting to help those 3 individuals who were on board.
So I jumped out of the car and ran up there, and at the time there were only, I don't know, 3 or 4 people around the helicopter. One was down talking. She was obviously pinned in by the helicopter itself, and she at least was moving, but we were trying to keep her still so that she wasn't, going to cause any damage from her contact with the metal. And so I was holding her legs while the lady up front was trying to talk her down and make sure she, calmed down a bit.
It was just amazing how many people just started running to help, and I thought, I guess I just thought this was amazing, and I started you know, taking a video of it. And I mean, people didn't question.
The 4 people that I spoke with today tell me that they're still trying to process this incident. They tell me that they could barely sleep last night, but they are also grateful that they were right there and that they were able to assist. We're live in Sacramento. Marisela de la Cruz, KCRA 3 News.
Yeah, it's amazing they were able to assist. Did they hear the crash, Marisela, when it happened?
You know, that is one question that I asked all 4 of them. Did they hear the crash? Because they saw it flying very low, then they saw darkness, and they eventually just started seeing all that smoke. So I asked them, you know, how loud was this? All of them told me that they didn't hear this, and it may have been because of the adrenaline rush that they were all experiencing. However, people that live near the area, people that live on the other side of this sound wall, they tell me that their homes shook yesterday evening. So we're just hearing a lot of different things from people who were around the area.
All right, Marisela de la Cruz, thanks for the live report.
We pulled the flight record for this Reach medical helicopter, and it shows it left Redding at 5:05 last night and landed at the Red Bluff Airport at 5:17. It then took off from Red Bluff at 5:50 and landed at UC Davis Medical Center 46 minutes later at 6:36. The Med Center is a level 1 trauma center, and they take critical patients from 33 counties. We see the medical helicopter then lifted off from the Med Center at around 7:05 last night, and it quickly disappeared from the radar right above Highway 50. Firefighters did get the call of the crash about 3 minutes later. And that chopper, well, it just took off when it ran into problems. That means the pilot had just seconds to find a safe place to land. KCRA 3's Mike Cherry spoke with Livecopter 3 pilot Dan Oppenheim to get his perspective.
All right, Dan, so you've seen this video.
Yes.
What were your first initial thoughts when you saw how this helicopter crash landed?
Well, my first initial thought really just had to do with the location. The helicopter came to rest probably less than a quarter of a mile from the Davis Medical Center. The Davis Medical Center is an elevated helipad on a rooftop. It's also surrounded by a residential area. This residential area is dark. The incident happened little after 7 p.m. last night, so it probably wasn't completely dark, but still reduced visibility at ground level. Directly in front of the pilot as they were taking off is Highway 50, which is a open, relatively flat area. The pilot departing the UC Davis Med Center would have had very little airspeed. Not all that much altitude, granted they were taking off from a rooftop, and that combination of a low altitude and low airspeed does not give you many options in the case of an in-flight emergency.
We'll continue to follow this story on air and online as we get updates on the condition of the 3 crew members injured in the crash and the investigation into what happened.